afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Kerfuffle panel webinar with one of our glorious partners, Vaboo. Jonathan Stein, CEO, founder, absolutely does everything at Vaboo. How are you, Jonathan? You okay?
I'm very good, Simon. Thank you very much for setting this up for us. It's much appreciated.
I think I had nothing to do with the logistics on this, otherwise there would be no one sat here. So
your team, obviously, I meant.
Good team, the team that supports everything. I just want to say, quite sickeningly, your hair's holding up particularly well. So
I'll be honest with you, Simon. I had to put a bit of wax in it just before we came on air, and I felt like I was actually going out to a meeting. I even put aftershave on, and then questioned as to why I did that.
It's just nice. That shows what a scholar and a gent you are, basically. Yeah. So what I thought would be really useful, guys, is we're going to spend the next few minutes obviously talking about Vaboo. What would be really useful is if we actually just go round in turn, and if you could just obviously introduce yourselves, the business you're from, and then just in a really quick elevator pitch, just explain how long you've been with Vaboo and what was it that first attracted you to it. And we'll do a really quick elevator one like that, and then we'll jump into some of the detail. Adam, you're sat next to us on the top as far as I can see it. So if that's okay with you, would you mind kicking us off?
Yeah, I'm Adam Reed, the owner of Reed Residential. We are a property group that has multiple businesses, just regular AST management, sales, lettings, student lettings and management, block management, investment, and portfolio building. That's our main source of income. We're fairly unique because we're throughout the whole of the UK. Demographically, our office, we have a head office based in Westcliff in Southend. But generally, we're everywhere across the UK. We're a middle-sized company in terms of volume. We jumped on board with Vaboo in 2018, which I believe was kind of about the time they'd been up and running for just a small amount of time at that point. So we got in the early days, and I think for us, the initial selling point for us was that we look after a huge amount of tenancies, and there's a big portion of student lets we do.
Yeah.
So the selling point initially was purely and simply, it was a vehicle for us to offer students, discounts. And as a student, you look for discounts at any opportunity given. But for us, it was a really good selling point that we're able to give those people an opportunity to buy things cheaper than normal. So that's where we went. It diversed a lot more than that in the end. But initially, that was the reason why we went with Vaboo. Yeah, I mean, a fantastic brand.
And I'm guessing that demographic in particular, the students ones, would be very familiar with this kind of approach and really engage with it well, wouldn't they?
It's amazing that the engagement side helps us in two different aspects. Because we're regulated by numerous bodies because of what we do, part of what we do, we're regulated by ANUK and Unipol, and part of their review of us as a business is to look at how people respond to us and what our feedback is from what their feedback is on from us. And what Vaboo allows us to do is, rather than sit there with individual forms for every single student complex, Vaboo are able to offer this whole unique package where it shows us a broad view of everyone's feedback, and we can drill into that as and when we need to drill into it. So that alone is an amazing tool for us. As a business, it's an amazing tool. And
thank you for that kind of introduction on that basis. And Zoe from Belvoir, how are you, Zoe, today? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks, Simon. Thanks for asking. I haven't been using Vaboo for very long, probably 3 or 4 months, maybe. And I'll be honest, I was a skeptic, and I was a little bit, like Jonathan's smiling, and I was a little bit, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
Why should I be giving shit away to tenants? So I was always a little bit of a doubter.
Yeah.
An anti-Vabooer, you might want to say. You've heard of anti-vaxxers. I'm an anti-Vabooer. However, the tide has turned recently, and that's probably why I'm here today, because we got our end of quarter report, which I didn't actually know we were going to get, which blew me away really when I saw it, because it goes into detail of how your tenants actually really feel about you. Yeah. And it's an honest opinion, because we're not asking them, Vaboo are. Yeah. And actually looking at how many people are using it, I mean, we're only a small office, nothing like Adam's size. We were quite amazed. And since then, I understand, I'm now a believer.
So now you've actually got it's not just great you've got this to start off with, but over time now, you're going to have a benchmark tool where you can really see satisfaction levels and how they're really going in one direction.
I think the thing is, when you first set up, it's unmeasurable, because you're not really sure what's going to happen. You're offering it to your tenants, you're signing them up, but then you don't really know. It's that unknown until you get your first little report that hits your inbox, and you go, Christ, they're actually saying nice things about us, and they're actually using the platform and getting discounts. And obviously that's all good as far as I'm concerned, because then they'll go away and tell all their friends how great we are as well. And you don't know how many of them are potentially going to be landlords or buyers or sellers. So, you know, it's all good as far as I'm concerned now. Makes sense.
Jonathan must have been really excited about inviting you on there. I'm an anti-Vabooer. But as they said, that's really important, though, isn't it? Because actually you are doing something new in this field, Jonathan. I'll come to you at the end to wrap up these initial comments as well. So it's entirely understandable that some people will have some doubts and suspicions to start off with. Okay, that's really helpful, Zoe, to understand from your point of view. And Spencer, we've had to mute Spencer because he's got a bounce back, but I'll stop talking and then we'll let him go. What about yourself?
Alleged bounce back. Thank you, Mr. Ware. Alleged. So we've been using Vaboo for about 6 months, and in one of the lockdowns, I had a very long conversation with Jonathan, not necessarily about Vaboo, just about resident experience. And I think it sort of struck a chord with each other that we didn't really feel the industry was doing enough for residents in occupation. I think the brainchild, my understanding is Jonathan firsthand experienced, tenants who weren't having a good time. The residents, that we have, and we're an independent office in West Hampstead covering London. We want to be aligned with them. We want to have an ongoing relationship with them. We want to stay in contact with them, because it's important to align yourself with your customer base. So for us, we weren't sort of anti-Vabooers to start with. We sort of got it straight away. What we were concerned about, I guess, was, what the uptake would be like. Is it another scheme? Are the residents going to, engage with it? And actually, fast forward to where we are now, and after a sort of slowish start, it's accelerated through quite quickly. We're getting nice feedback, both positive and constructive criticism, which is needed. We don't just need to pat ourselves on the back all the time. So it's early stages, but something that we are committed to continuing with. And I guess, the nice thing is Vaboo is where it is right now, but there's ideas and plans to improve it and streamline it moving forward. And I like the sort of progressive element of, our discussion we had with Jonathan way back when. It seems like a long time ago now, Jonathan, but hey ho. And it's just it's a good thing from an owner's perspective. What do you do for your residents? Well, this is another little competitive advantage. Do we have to pay for it? No, we invest in that for you. And we were very lucky. Or one of our residents were that they actually were they got the free rent for a month, and we sort of had a conversation with that individual, one of my colleagues, Danielle, and it was a really sort of positive conversation. And during that sort of 6-minute video, we got a lot of sort of hints and tips from that resident about just how they feel about the London rental market. So it's the insight piece for us that really is where the great value is. Yeah, so it's been a great thing, a big success. It's early stages, but we're in for the long haul. Great,
that's really useful, and we'll come back to that kind of that lucky dipper price later. And I watched that video with your client, Spencer, and it was fantastic hearing them talk about it. And they were given that month's free rent and understanding they're going to be blown away. But what I loved about it was the way that they were already talking positively about you, and just accelerating. It was just doubling down on that good feeling about you as a business, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also just that it's something that we're doing different from the team's perspective in-house. It's another thing that we're doing that they can talk about positively on both sides of the fence, whether that's owner or resident.
So this was I'll share this afterwards. This was where you spoke about obviously giving the month's free rent, and there's the critical all the partners that obviously Jonathan and his Vaboo team go out. So what's fantastic about that, you only have to look, and these are all household names, aren't they? In terms of being able to get special deals and offers with those, and then right down. I won't play it now, but I'll put it on the link if that's all right with you, Spencer, afterwards. That video of you literally presenting it digitally for your obviously they're surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Okay, and then thank you, Spencer. That's brilliant. And then Gareth, how are you? Are you today? You okay?
I'm very well, thank you, Simon. Yeah, hello everybody.
Excellent. By the way, I like the light effect. That's you've got me already in envy there.
I got you a little surprise, if I'm honest.
Worried, slightly worried, panicky.
We're gonna go pink, I think. Oh, it's not quite the pink.
Excellent. Did you buy that off Kerfuffle?
That's what we were going to do. We're going to buy it off Kerfuffle. You got one of these Kerfuffle little.
Excellent. I am impressed. Well, look, I like the meaning. Oh, there we are. Look at that. That's
a mixture of different ones now.
That's excellent. Perfect. Okay, and so what about from your point of view? Because Gareth, you've obviously you've kicked off, so you're looking at innovation, aren't you, as a business, wanting to make yourself different. So, what was it that in particular you felt like this was right for you?
So we were looking for a platform, a value-added service for Judah Property. So we're brand new. We launched in August last year. I met with Jonathan. It was just literally a week before lockdown, if you remember, last year, around about the February. So it's about a year. But we always had it in our minds that to attract landlords, to attract tenants, we needed to do something different. There's some really good agents around here with some really good marketing skills. So from our point of view, we actually went down the route of trying to find someone that could actually deliver just that first meal, like a Just Eat type thing. Tenants go in, and then I saw a post on LinkedIn and found John, and we contacted each other. We met, and we kind of were looking at the same sort of thing. We value-added services. The discounts are incredible. And we've built a brand around this. So we've got Judah Property, but we've called our value-added services Judah Plus.
Yeah.
There's a section on our website that gives, same as what Vaboo does, all of the added extras, but we've kind of adapted it. And John and his team have allowed us to kind of mold the Vaboo site to allow us to cross-sell a lot of our other products, because we've got Judah Property, but we're also an insurance broker as well. So we plug in a lot of our products and services into the Vaboo platform. And we got thinking about, if we can put our services on there during lockdown, how could we help other local businesses? So we're actually allowing local business to advertise on our particular platform to give them a bit of free scope, but it's also allow us to communicate with local businesses. They may be landlords themselves, and really kind of spread our name out as quickly as we possibly could. One particular story is we've got a tenant that was a customer of ours. He's a tradesman, and he came back to us and said he's saving £600 a year on Wix just alone. And we were like, wow, what else are you saving on? And the insights we get from Vaboo and Harriet when she does the reports for us really gives us that data exactly where our clients are spending money. And from our point of view, it was always a no-brainer. Really, it was just a case of can we build both brands at the same time, push it, and it allows us to get out on Instagram with a different feel. It's not just about property. It's not shoving property down people's throats. It's about how can we bring value and how can we attract the actual clients and engage with them.
Yeah.
And I suppose a lot of the marketing parts that you have to keep on top of. Vaboo do all that for me now. So once a month, there's Junior Property, there's Vaboo, there's new deals that they're coming out with, and it allows us just to allow people just to engage with the brand, frequently. But then we pick up business from it as well. So it's allowing customers to then buy from us, but also buy from local businesses as well. So it's great. I love it.
So that local business one's a really interesting angle there, isn't it? Because I mentioned, and I think, look, when I spoke to Jonathan about that element, that was a moment the penny dropped for me as well. So look, you've got all those household names out there, but that doesn't stop you localizing, does it?
No.
Which, of course, is community is what we're all trying to engender all the time.
Yeah, and keeping things local is like trending. Look after your own, all the people that are around here. A lot of the big shops have been shut.
Yeah.
You can't, so it was a perfect opportunity for us to not just sit back and allow just the property industry to do its thing, allow us to push local businesses, and that and alone, post-wise on social media is way more important to us about community and knowing that we are a local agent, we are brand new, but we are thinking about the community as well. So it's great for us. Great
way to launch yourself on the scene there, isn't it? And practicing what you preach, because lots of people can do that, but they don't put it into practice, do they?
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. Okay, Jonathan, is that the sort of thing you wanted to hear? I'm imagining it is. Otherwise, you'd have been crazy inviting these ones on board.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm brutally honest with you, it's all quite emotional for me, kind of hearing everybody's comments, bearing in mind the time and effort it's taken to get out into the market, because we spent a good 2 to 3 years before really hitting the agency space at the beginning of 2019, talking to the market, developing the proposition and all the things like the whole data side of it, the local business side of it. Those are things that came out of the feedback that we got from hundreds of agents over those first few years. The retail discounts piece, we had a lot of that stuff at the very beginning, and it was like, it can't just be about the discounts. It's got to be a win-win for every stakeholder. So we've developed all of that, and it's amazing to see these guys and our other clients just valuing that, I guess. It's quite emotional, I have to be honest.
Well, I've always christened this part of the section a bit like in Jerry Maguire, where I'm not going to cry on this show. I'm not going to cry. But you did have a bit of an advantage, to be honest, Jonathan, didn't you? Because actually, Vaboo was, to a large degree, born out of your frustrations as a landlord as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This didn't kind of just pop into my head, but I've got a 20-year kind of background in the property space. A lot of that was alongside a corporate career, but yes, I had it all started with some tenants of mine struggling financially, which obviously was hurting my back pocket when their rent wasn't being paid, and I reached out to them at the time to try and solve the problems, because the agents managing my properties weren't doing very well in solving the problem. And at the time, long story short, it was very much because they didn't seem to have much of a relationship or even communication channel with those tenants, because most of the time that they were communicating, it was mostly about negative things, where's your rent, or maintenance issues and things like that. And so as I say, I kind of resolved those issues for myself, and over time other landlords and letting agents, events that I used to attend, sort of started asking more and more questions and whether I could help them do the same thing. And sort of 2 years after that, Vaboo was soft launched. But at the end of 2015, whilst there was, clear signs that the market was moving in favour of the tenant customer, the change hadn't really started at any real pace.
Yeah.
So we knew 2015, wasn't the right time for a full-on launch.
Yeah.
So we actively in the plan, had 2 to 3 years just to, let's talk to the market. Let's see if there is any appetite, number one, and if there is, how can we develop the proposition further? And as I say,
there had to be a need or requirement, as you said, whether there's any appetite, because of course you only have to go on any estate agency review website and just recoil in horror at the tenant reviews. And, quite often they're shooting the messenger. We know all that. But to the degree where many estate agency businesses try to separate their lettings business away to stop their whole business reviews being dragged down by that demographic. So there is a real problem there, isn't there, in terms of how agents are perceived on the letting side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. But with obviously a problem or a challenge comes opportunity as well, right? And that was the other thing that I very quickly realised. Back when we were kind of planning the business, as I say, I spent most of my career working for American Express. And as most people would agree, it's a very customer-focused business. And the one thing I always remember about my time there is we were constantly being asked, how are you going above and beyond for your customers?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you adding value over and above what they expect? And that's always resonated with me. And when talking to agents over the years and realizing that, every agent has this pool of customers in their tenants, which is so much larger than their natural pool of customers in their landlords. I mean, that's got to represent huge opportunity, which, is what our data is designed to bring out. But also, if you look back over the decades, for big businesses like Amex, like the big retailers, it's a lot easier for them to get that brand engagement and do the customer loyalty thing. But for smaller entities, it's a bit more of a challenge. And that's also the gap that we want to fulfill, is we want to enable agents in particular and smaller businesses to be able to compete on that sort of customer brand and customer loyalty perspective.
Excellent. Cool. So at its core, obviously, it's a reward platform that gives agents a point of difference to help, win new landlords and to improve that relationship with the tenants. Guys, some of you have mentioned this ad hoc. Is that very clearly the message that's coming across now, though, with your coming back from, are you literally using this to win business?
Yeah.
Anyone can jump in. So, Gareth, you're saying yes straight away there. That is literally, it is enough of a point of difference. You're leading with Vaboo, even if and interestingly, do you talk about it as Vaboo, or do you just talk about it in a white labeled sense? How do you present it across, just as a matter of interest?
So in various different ways. So even on the back of our sale boards, one side of our for sale board, I don't know if anyone's seen them, but it's all about Junior Property. But on the back, it actually says, ask us about Junior Plus.
Okay.
Our board has flipped. There's a section on our website. It's got its own Facebook page, and it's something that in the next coming few months we'll probably build a website around it, just so people can just see the engagement. Because it's all very well having Vaboo, the platform, and when you log into Vaboo, you've got the tiles that you showed earlier on, Simon.
Yeah,
it gives an opportunity for people to see a window of what sort of brands. But there's over 700. So which ones are so we've got a mix of different ways that we can do that, but it's all very well put on the website. But I think just as a small section, but it needs to be much bigger than that for us. We need to show the deals that we're doing. Yeah, and I go back to from commercial broking and insurance broking, is that there's such a big opportunity. This is why I got into this industry. There's such a massive opportunity to do business from access to market, and there isn't very many platforms out there that give you that access to market. For instance, 46% of people don't have contents insurance. So most of them don't review their life insurance until you know, until they've maybe sat down with a financial advisor. Now, when you go for a house sale, you go and see a mortgage advisor and they'll sell you life insurance. When you go let a property, you don't get any financial services back up at all. But I think as an industry, from my point of view, is how do we give access to that? It doesn't need to be push, push, push. It can just be, we're here if you need us. Yeah. And Vaboo's platform allows us to do that.
But very much it's still part of a service, isn't it? It's still enabling. Yeah. It's not about the hard sell here. It's just about we're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course, Spencer, jump in. Unless you need to go to the toilet.
You know that, Simon. I just, for us, I wouldn't say necessarily winning new business is the main driver, but I think one of the most important things, certainly in a rental business, is client retention.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that those tenancy lengths are as long as possible. Why would I want to go and move from this property to that property when I've got these additional asset values, go to whatever it is, Vaboo and these other bits and pieces we use? That improves relationship building, both sides of the fence, owner and resident. So I think the client retention piece is absolutely huge, and that is where the true value is in any rental portfolio. That's just from our perspective, anyway.
I think that's really useful. So that's a classic twist on what's the point in putting things in at the top of the funnel if you're losing stuff out the bottom, isn't it? Again, anything you can do to retain that is helpful. That's really good.
We use it from two different angles. So part of the whole Vaboo experience for us, we white label, so we just call it customer rewards. So we have a website where people can go on and check them. We offer it to everyone. We open it up to all of our clients, whoever they are. They're our clients.
Yeah.
So we offer it to everyone as much as we can. We don't find that you go to, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for us, in whatever area we're looking at, you go to evaluation, everyone does floor plans, everyone does 3D tours, 4D tours now, everyone does walk around videos, everyone does it all. We all do it all because it's so easy to get the technology to do it now. Now, some of it's a bit more expensive than the others, but in the whole, it's there, and it's easy and it's reachable. But when you do go on site to a rental valuation, what you do is you have this ability to say, look, we've got this product that gives us engagement with the people that are going to, your customer, that's going to rent your property. And it allows us to give us something unique that no one else in this area has.
Yeah.
No one in that area has this little unique point. And you look at it and it's a micro point initially, but when you actually look at the bigger picture, it's actually a really big selling point for you as a business. Now, someone isn't going to rent property purely based on that. It's going to be based on all your services. Sometimes, you get 7 ticks out of 7, and it makes all the difference when you've got 10 agents looking at a rental property.
And Adam, as you said, you're dealing. You've got a fairly unique business in terms of you're almost national with this. So having that recognition of so many of those brands, those household names, is just yet again a massive tick in the box, isn't it?
And from a tenant's point of view, we've experienced. We've got the student lets, and students, as I mentioned at the beginning, they're looking for the best deals they can all the time. And there is thousands of rental properties in these various student cities and agents that are looking, and they're all looking for the best deal. And again, it gives us an opportunity to try and put the best way possible a group of students into a property that there could be 10 10-bedroom houses. You want them to rent your 10-bedroom house because they're all exactly the same price. But it gives you that opportunity. It does give you that opportunity. And the customer engagement side, we had the same experience. During the first lockdown, we had a tenant win the free rental.
Yeah.
Actually, really, it was quite an emotional experience. I'm generally not Mr. Emotional, but it's not. It was an amazing experience because the lady that won the 3 months rent, She was a key worker.
Yeah.
She was a single mum.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And every single box that you would want to tick for someone to win something,
Yeah,
was amazing. And actually, the positive feedback we received from that, because most people, I've been in, I don't know about you guys, but I've been in the industry forever. I'm getting close to being the washed up estate agent now. I'm only a couple of years.
Look, I might look like Peter Pan, but I've been in it a while too.
And there is so much negativity towards, I would guess, letting agents more so than estate agents. But there's so much negativity towards letting agents because there's been so many bad publicity stories about the bad ones, but never any good publicity about the good ones.
Yeah. So,
This kind of helps build that momentum towards the positivity towards people like us, that we regulate the arse out of ourselves to make sure we're doing things properly with everybody we can, and giving things to people really makes a difference with that engagement with them.
yeah, and it gives you a chance to get that big, massive checkout, which I'm a big fan of. Those ones, they're fantastic.
To me, this is something that's quite it's really important because, you know, as Adam was talking about, you know, the industry has somewhat of a bad reputation in many aspects, but like with a lot of things in life, that is without doubt the minority ruining it for the majority. And you know, when we were planning kind of Vaboo, I also realized that actually for myself as a landlord, if my agent didn't have a good reputation, that impacted me as a landlord very much so. So that was, you know, also a very, very big thing for us, for all of our clients is not only helping them have the best possible feedback and reputation, but actually hearing it and getting that response for them. And the one thing that we as a business have done a lot of analysis on is net promoter score for all of our clients. And there is, you know, I won't go into too much detail, but there's clear difference between what our clients achieve on average versus other agents, let's just say. Yeah. And actually, I took a look before we came on air at these 4 businesses here, and every single one of them have increased their net promoter score from when they joined us to today. Every single quarter that has increased. Zoe actually has only had 1 report so far, but she came in with her first report a ridiculous NPS score. So Joey, you're doing things all right already. You know, so if yours increases, that would be incredible because it's already very, very high. But all the others actually had good scores to start off with, but they've actually increased.
And by the way, Jonathan, that's the important thing. It's fantastic. You can start off, you know, and in very early stages, because normally it takes time to build anyway. But if you can, you know, if you can get that initial win from there, but then you have the benchmarking so that you can see, you know, if there is a drop off in service, you can address it before it becomes a problem. That's massively important. The thing, look, some people hear net promoter score and they little zone out a little bit, but all they need to know is it is classic. It is probably the truest performance indicator of customer satisfaction. And if you're a hard-nosed cynic, there is clear statistical links to show that those companies with high net promoter scores are more profitable and do that classic thing of good profits over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the other thing is for larger businesses like Spencer's and Adams, you know, when you're managing thousands of tenants, to increase that net promoter score is actually not an easy thing to do at all. No. These guys have done it progressively. Each report we've produced for them each quarter, that's progressively gone up. So if, you know, for these guys to even have an improvement of 1 point, that's massive. A lot harder for them to achieve than it is for the average size agent.
Yeah. Okay, I can see Zoe wanted to come in. Just remember you're muted, Zoe. There.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of add to that, really, and it's one of the reasons why I suppose my mindset changed quite dramatically in such a short space of time, was that we strive to deliver exceptional customer service, but it's how do you gauge that with your tenants and your clients? you can bang on and try and get reviews out of them, and they never give them. And then when you get a report that's saying things like fantastic, amazing, great, we had exceptional service, always helpful and trustworthy, someone's always there when you need it, that to me outweighs whatever it costs to pay for Vaboo, because I am satisfied now that I am doing a good job. And if there was any negativity on there, you wouldn't necessarily know who it was, but you would know something's occurred since the last report. What's happened? We need to address that. And that to me is worth that to me is worth it.
I thought when you were saying super smashing great there, it was Jim Bowen.
Yeah, I mean, just when I saw that, I got quite emotional as well. And I don't know if Harriet said anything about that, because I was like speechless, which is obviously quite surprising. Yeah.
It's a good job I hadn't just taken a drink of my coffee.
But it just shows you how things can turn around, because like I said, I was a bit skeptical to start with. But even the little sort of questionnaires that they do as well, so you can understand how your tenants are feeling. And then if you know that certain tenants are worried about the cost of living, you can do something about that as well. You can address that.
As if on cue, anonymous Facebook user, I use Vaboo and love it, especially with an NPS of 75. And to be fair, they had this up on the screen before we were even talking about it. So, I mean, just to put that into context, 75 is just off the scale in terms of customer satisfaction. And it's really important again here to remember what I don't know if we have this, Jonathan. It'd be really interesting to know this in the future, what the industry net promoter score is on average, because obviously it's all about comparisons.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about the industry currently, but we have done a survey, a national tenant survey in the past, which was quite revealing. The summary was that the net promoter score for the industry was quite low. I mean, anything 20 and above is worth shouting about on the scale. The industry was much lower than 20.
Yeah.
Vaboo clients that we had at the time, this was much earlier in our journey, scored just over 20. The one significant thing that came out of the survey was London agents scored a negative number. Okay. But currently, in terms of our client base, the average is just over 40.
Great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'm just conscious Spencer's got to jump off in a minute, so I just wanted to just ask him a quick question. Spencer, just in terms of summarising how you feel this relationship is going to grow with Vaboo, and truthfully to anybody that's reviewing Vaboo as an option, what would you say to those guys?
I think you need to have an initial chat with Jonathan to make sure that your values are aligned with Vaboo's and his. We are looked after by Harriet, who, when you pass down normally from the person at the top to the next person, you're sort of unsure what that relationship's going to be like. And Harriet's been fantastic for us, really listens, very sort of receptive.
Great.
And I think it's exciting that it's the start of the journey. I know Jonathan's been at this for a lot longer than we have, up there at least. So it's the feedback we've had, and echoing what the other people have said is just the different metrics it gives you to measure your business, whether that's going to be new business acquisition, client retention, resident retention, just the feel-good factor of doing something with your client base. Gareth's ideas that he said, I haven't, thought about those, and that's, super interesting. And especially now when everyone is feeling, that universe, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine. Well, actually, I'm not sure that many people are fine right now. I'm just giving something back to your client base at this really difficult time. Just feels good, just feels a bit human, just being normal. And as Adam said, it's good to do something positive and genuinely be part and parcel of your community, your business community. So it's worked brilliantly for us, and I would strongly suggest that people pick up the phone and have a conversation with Jonathan.
Perfect. Thank you, Spencer. Thank you for taking the time. I know obviously you've got something else to be at, so it's really appreciated today. Thank you on that. And it would be fair to say, I think, as Matt put up, because would you say you're a Vaboo? I don't know if that works, but I like the fact that people are going out there and creating these sort of taglines anyway there. Cheers, Spencer. And also, can I just ask you this question just while we're doing it? I like to deal with them as they're coming in. Great video so far. Thank you, generic Facebook user. Where do you see the part of the market where 90% of the agents utilize Vaboo and they in turn lose their USP? Will there be additional options, tiered memberships to allow you to regain a USP, so to essentially regain a competitive advantage? I mean, I suppose the good news at the moment is anyway, Jonathan, is that you can definitely, stand out from the crowd. But it's an interesting point there, isn't it, that a lot of products have to deal with. What do you do when it becomes expected? Yeah,
I mean, firstly, I'd like to speak to whoever this person is if they believe we're going to get a 90% market share, because that's certainly music to my ears. I think we absolutely want our service to be a USP for all of our clients, and a lot. I have had people ask me in the past, well, why isn't Vaboo free? And that's because they're used to being given other things for free. Yeah. Well, if Vaboo was for free, clearly there's no USP there in terms of point of difference. Okay, so and we kind of want to try and change that mindset. So if something's for free, how much do you actually value it? Yeah, and I don't know from experience, not a lot is the answer. So it's about investing in your business and looking after your customers. But actually, in terms of the industry as a whole, my belief from the network that I have within the property space is, the industry is moving in favor of the tenant customer. Yeah. And lots of people have talked about this over the last few years, from government level down. You look at the build to rent space, okay, and it's all about the resident experience. Yeah. I love the fact, like people like Spencer, he is a high street agent, but he talks about the resident rather than the tenant. I love that. So I believe over the next 5 years, maybe a touch longer, I think most agents in the country will offer some form of added value, like what we do or something else. All right. So in answer to your question, to the question is, the industry we believe is moving in this direction. Do you want to be first in or last in? Yeah. Because I think as the years go by, it will become much more of the expectation and the norm. Yeah. So the problem that you might have at the other end is actually it would be if you're not offering some form of added value, showing your customers that you care, you'll stand out for the wrong reasons. Yeah, you absolutely will. I mean, it was Sam Skinner, by the way, just to point out. I jumped into the Facebook page and found out. So yeah, Sam Skinner was just asking. Hopefully that helps answer it. And I think there is that point. If you've already got a load of your landlords already using the Vaboo service, how is another agent going to come along and try and tempt you away by saying, well, we just offer it too? It's not offering anything new, is it? It's just more the same. So as usual, you're seen as the forward-thinking agent, and that's the important part, isn't it? Exactly. If I was to make a comparison, the whole idea of Vaboo came from my time when I worked in the employee engagement space. Yeah. Now, if you look at most large employers, and in many cases, sort of medium employers and some small employers these days, the whole sort of employee benefits, employee engagement sector took off, many years ago, and when people were looking to change roles, and they're in a company at the moment which has an employee engagement, employee benefits program, which is much bigger than what Vaboo is, then they're looking at another company to join, but there is no such program. And I've been through this myself. People do question the new potential employer and how actually they treat their staff, for example. So, and I believe the same sort of psychology and emotions will happen with customers in this space as well.
Cool. Zoe, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of add to what Jonathan was saying. It's, for me, it's how you package up what you're offering as well. So, for example, I know for a fact there is, I won't name names, there's a competitor locally that use Vaboo, but they charge for it.
Okay.
So, you know, in terms of trying to show you your unique selling point, we don't charge for Vaboo.
So that comes in. It's another.
That comes in.
It's something else in your toolkit. How you use it is still down to the individual business.
Yeah, it is. And for me, it's about building that relationship with your clients. Like you say, if your clients are happy, they're less likely to move on and they'll want to stay with you because you're offering this, you're going the extra mile as an agency. And to me, this is just a bolt on in terms of what we already are offering with the client journey, because we offer a personal service to our clients now. You know, such things like sending them a video after they've moved in to thank them for joining the Belvoir family. You know, and part of that joining that family is now getting access to discounts.
Every single study that has been published on this shows that the number one reason that somebody loses, and this isn't just estate agents, by the way, any business, is because there's the perception that the business doesn't care about them. Again, we can all do that, can't we? And I can do that better than most. But actually, being able to deliver these tangible benefits back, can't they, where they get something out. And again, what I like about this is, it's not just like, 10 quid here or 20 quid there, is it? In terms of just getting it that gets absorbed in your, with everything else that you pay out. They can tangibly get stuff that they will remember is down to Vaboo and Juna or Belvoir will read. And those are experiences that are much harder to recreate, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're looking to build on all of this as well. We've got lots of ideas in our product development roadmap where our engagement levels are already good, but we know of a few ways that we can make them even better.
And there's no reason at all why this shouldn't be used in sales, is there? Or am I missing a trick here?
It's a good question. We're born out of the letting space because of how the business originated, but over the last 6 to 12 months, quite a few customers have said, we want to start putting our sales customers on here, vendors, buyers, for various reasons. But yeah, so that is something that we're looking at over time. If that becomes quite a big thing, then perhaps we'll make some further changes to the platform to differentiate between renters and sales customers. Right now, there is just kind of one option for the platform. But actually, if you think about the content of the platform, pretty much everything on there is relevant to everyone. If there's something specific to renting, then a sales vendor would just ignore it. Yeah. But actually, most things are relevant to everybody.
Yeah, okay. And that would be a wonderful way, somebody moving into their new home, you've got that tie with local businesses. It's a win-win, isn't it, again? So, yeah.
So I think, that's quite an interesting point because, there are products out there like the home move box, for example, which I think are great, by the way.
Yeah, they're good.
But the problem is that it's at the beginning and that's it. It's a one-time thing which people will soon forget about. Yeah. Whereas what we're providing is constant, ongoing engagement throughout the whole duration of the tenancy on a weekly basis and extremely cost-effectively.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So what's your just going around? Oh, sorry, Gareth, go on. Did you have something?
I was just gonna. I don't know, because we're new, we haven't got a lot of stock. I just wanted to bring up the sort of a point that when we have people coming through the portals, they're looking to move. We all know that they've got a certain amount of things on their mind, whether they're moving into a rental, they're moving full stop. And I just wanted to sort of say that if you have this conversation and maybe put this type of thing on your lead magnet when I don't know whether everyone's got a canned email response that goes out, but asks, what sort of things would you be interested in moving? Is it insurance? Is it broadband? Is it energy and all the other bits? We've actually got clients that are with us now on some sort of basis, and we haven't even put them into one of our properties. They've gone with a competitor, but we've got the relationship now with an insurance product or something else, and that's been kicked off by the conversations we've had around about Juna Plus and Vaboo. to kind of attract them to come to us anyway. So out of however many leads we got coming through, we now build a relationship up with people that are on the move. We know when they're going to be moving, probably in 6 months or a year, or when their appetite was to actually whether they go from rental to buying. But because we've now got a relationship with them and they've now gone into a competitor's property, next time when they come around to do either their renewal or they're thinking about letting, hopefully they'll ring us next time, and hopefully we'll have a property and more stock to be able to sell to them or to actually put them into. So it's just a short-term thing. It's definitely a long-term thing that we're looking to do.
Well, you're always looking for an excuse to catch up with people, isn't it? And actually, it's one of the most open goals you could have, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a great conversation starter, to be fair. So yeah, it's good.
So it sounds like a lot of you were sounding like quite surprised that it wasn't what you went into it for, but the insight element is come out. Is that what would you summarise as your favourite part of the whole Vaboo solution at the moment? If you were to have to succinctly say which bit you liked, who wants to kick off?
Go on.
Okay, cheers, Adam.
I know, but talk. I think really and truly, the product is exactly what John says. You get to engage with people you wouldn't necessarily engage with throughout the year, not just at the beginning, not just at the end, but during the whole period of their tenancy, whether that's customer, whether it's a landlord, whether it's a tenant, whether it's whoever it is. Because people will ring you up and say, I've got the email, because we send regular updates with Vaboo on all the time. So we send it regularly to people, and just a little email goes out saying these are all the products. Don't forget that you can get all these products. And often you can get to talk to people that you haven't spoken to. I generally, as the owner of the business, will pick up the phone once every 4 to 8 weeks, and I'll ring half a dozen people at least out of the blue and find out what's going on. Are they happy? Are they not happy? Is there anything we can do? And that for me, I think is really important as the owner of the business, that I understand everything.
It's getting you as far removed from an ivory tower as you can do, isn't it? You're going to get the absolute lifeblood or heartbeat of the business from those conversations.
And sometimes you do. You pick up the phone and you'll get whoever it is at the end of the phone, and they'll go, "No, I'm not happy because I've had a leaky tap and no one's done anything about it for the last 8 weeks."
But you need to know that.
And I can then drill into what's going on in my business, and I understand, and it gives me all those options. It opens everything up. So for me, that's what it's about. I mean, I would also add to that if you are an agent and you haven't even considered looking at Vaboo, before you even go and sign into it, just talk to John. Just talk to him, because I've dealt with, I'm sure you guys have, for many, many years, lots of salespeople and lots of drivel that comes out the salespeople's mouths with not much passion, just to get a sale. He's not like that. You can see how passionate he is about this because of the experiences he's had as an individual, as a landlord. Yeah. And I love that. That means everything to me. That's the most important thing about it. So I couldn't do any more than big up the company and Jonathan as an individual.
That's great. I was just crossing my fingers I'd never missold you over the years as well. So that was great. Okay. Well, that's Adam. That's wonderful to hear. And of course, it's always fantastic. That's why I said that before. I think when somebody has felt the pain and the reason for why it needs a solution, that really, really helps. And while you can chat to the founder of the business, I would strongly urge you to do that, because you're always going to get the best possible viewpoint of why you should use it, aren't you? Yeah. Could I just ask the same question we asked to Spencer there again to Zoe, maybe perhaps, is what was the favourite part of the service for you?
I mean, I've never knocked Jonathan, and I totally agree with what they say, what Adam said. Whenever I've spoken to Jonathan, that's what I've got. I think I'm just one of these harder nuts to crack, unfortunately. I love statistics, and that's what sold it to me. But also, it's not just the statistics. That feeds into the heartbeat of my clients, the feelings, of how my clients feel, and that is vitally important to me. And maybe initially at the outset, I missed a trick there. So I don't admit I'm wrong often, but I will admit I'm wrong this time. And obviously, sorry, Simon, go on.
I was just going to say, what would you say to anyone thinking about using Vaboo?
I think it's still very early days for me, but I think, like Adam said, speak to Jonathan, see if it's for you as a business. This may not meet every business because of, like you said, the values that some businesses have. I know, I've got the same values. I totally understand that now. And just being on this today, I've written a load of notes as the next steps for me with Vaboo now, because I don't think I'm doing as much as I could with it. I never even thought about landlords, for example. And, we have a prime service. So the next thing I'm going to do is invite all my prime landlords onto the portal.
Fantastic.
My contractors, you're saying they're saving money by going to Wix and B&Q or whatever. I never thought about that. But, rewards reap rewards, don't they? If they're saving themselves £600-700 on using, Vaboo, what are they going to do for me? It swings and roundabouts.
And I'm not being funny, Zoe, as somebody who, dominates the airwaves and the video waves locally as well, in terms of being so in touch with your local area. This fits perfectly into supporting.
Yeah, I mean, we've already got a couple of local businesses offering on the platform. So the next step is to just try and reach out to a few more. Unfortunately, some local businesses are a little bit cagey about, well, what's in it for me? But, now that we've seen that it's working, I think they'll benefit from it. So that's the next level. We'll be stepping up a gear with that as well.
Wonderful. Well, before we get off, Jonathan, and let you sob happily into your listening to these, what I'm guessing this is what you wanted to hear, wasn't it? In terms of, again, going back to that point at the beginning, this is what you did it all for, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's as I said at the beginning, it's it's a nice end to the week, and I think I might treat myself to a beer tonight. But yeah, no, it is. As I think you saw before we came on board, I put a little post out saying I was a little bit nervous about this session, but
all right, I remember to wear pants today. You okay?
Well, you can only see my top half, Simon. So I'm not going to stand up. But no, it's fantastic. It's an important time for us as a business. Last year, as it was for everybody, was extremely challenging. The timing of lockdown 1 for our business, couldn't have been a lot worse with us planning for the ALA conference the next day. So
that was poor timing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's tremendous. So
I don't know. These pandemics, they just get in the way, don't they?
Yeah, they're very frustrating. But we managed to kind of get through the rocky patch, and things really picked up for us from sort of August, September time. I'm looking forward to this current lockdown being over. But yeah, no, I'm just really thankful to everybody who's joined today, and getting winning a tough nut like Zoe round is I think, Zoe, you might have been put on our target list when we started working with Belvoir. So I'm pleased the team are keeping you happy.
I think that's been a bit harsh calling her a nut, to be honest. I mean, I've heard a few people say it, but you just keep yourself muted there, Zoe. That's fine. No swearing at this late stage. I just want to highlight, obviously, everybody always go and have a look at the webpage. First of all, we put the video up there of all the previous videos, so you can really learn a lot about the companies by going and watching the previous interviews. Clearly, you can see the very high ratings there. So, obviously, Jonathan practicing what we preach in terms of reviews, 4.9, extremely high. And we've got a fantastic deal there as well, getting a 50% off the premium access. So as usual, as you know, I always say, that's really kind of you, Jonathan, for thinking of our members there.
Yeah, that's no problem, Simon. Thanks for all your support so far as well. And just watch this space. Got a lot of product development things happening, and there is quite a lot to the service, which sometimes can be difficult to get across. And Harriet, as a lot of people have mentioned, is doing a fantastic job running the customer success team. And there are lots of features to the service which perhaps many clients not using on day one. But her role and the team are to make sure all clients are using as many features as they possibly can. You know, for example, one thing nobody's really touched on too much today is every client gets flyers that they can hand out at listings appointments and viewings with tenants. And the clients that do use those tell us what a massive impact it has, because it's a complete surprise when they talk about it at the end of the viewing appointment. And we've even had other clients put details in their shop front windows for those that have high street locations. So there's lots of stuff aside from the platform and the discounts.
Yeah, it's almost as if we're going to need to have another panel webinar to discuss all those extras there, Jonathan. Okay.
If we're lucky enough, that'd be great.
That's good. Well, I just want to say just a little bit before we leave. Spencer, as I said, thank you very much, had to leave. It's a really sad day, unfortunately. He's had to pop off to go to the Zoom funeral, unfortunately, of Sam Brown. Many of you out there in estate agency world will know Stephen Brown exceedingly well. If you haven't worked with him directly in a training capacity, you'll certainly see him over the airwaves and on the Fantastic Estate Agency podcast. Unfortunately, his wife has been ill for some time now and unfortunately just passed away. The word legend is often overused in this industry, but it's absolutely true of Stephen. He goes out of his way to help out on a number, just on a personal level. The amount of times classically, when I do something good, I let everybody know about it. Stephen's not one of those people. And he's going to be going through, obviously, a particularly hard time. So, Stephen, from everyone here, and the industry, I'm sure, as a whole, we're all thinking of you, and best love and thoughts. I don't know how we can, do anything at this time, but one thing I would say is that Stephen has been running the fantastic Computers for Schools initiative, which has been going down just incredibly well here. And if you can go to this, I'll put the link out on the across all the social here. I think they're within touching distance of the 55,000 target. It's a brilliant scheme anyway, but just in terms of whatever you can give to that, just to show Stephen we're thinking about him at this time, I think that'd be lovely for everybody to do. So once more, Stephen, thanks for everything you do in this industry, and yeah, once again, thoughts are with you and yours, basically. So, gents, just wanted to say again from our point of view here today, it's I've just stopped myself. Hang on a minute. Wait a minute. Start that up again. Sorry about that. Thank you for attending. It really is appreciated, guys. I can't say thanks enough. I know that obviously Jonathan's extremely grateful for it. But for today, Adam, Gareth, Zoe, and of course Spencer there, and the main man himself, Jonathan, thanks for your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Take care.